conference partners, and sponsors. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Andreea Dumitrescu. I am the communication specialist from the Progress Foundation. And I am an experience in working in the media. I am passionate about photography and graphic design. I was a TV reporter and I worked in television production. I'm very honored to be here in front of you among librarians and NGOs representatives. I had the pleasure to discover 2.5 years ago this amazing NGO sector where formative, funky, fab things are happening for children, for adults, for libraries and communities. I was surprised by the endless energy of the librarians and their boundless determination to support community development. I met a few librarians from the Progress Foundation network, and they all showed me the passion with which they are doing their jobs. And they all have in common a goal, the sustainable development. Libraries can have a leading role on the path to sustainability. That's why we will label them E+ libraries. E+ stems mainly from a new ecology of life, where less is consumed and more is shared. Libraries play a very important role in shaping more sustainable and responsible societies, not only by educating people, but also by becoming centers for testing new economic models, innovation, and technology. Please allow me to introduce you Camelia Crișan, the Progress Foundation CEO, because she has the expertise to talk about more this sensitive topic, sustainability, named sustainability, but also a little about Occupy Library Conference and its history. Okay. Camelia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ioana. It's a big floor, it's a nice floor, and it's so nice to see you all here. I'm amazed. After I don't know how many years now, because I can't even count, of Zooms and WebExes, and I'm really, please bear with me. I'm going to touch you all. I just want to feel humans in my life again. So if you feel that if you feel that I'm too much touch, I mean, just draw the attention to me. Stop doing that to us. Right. So it's been a long journey, as Andrea was saying, and the long journey was started with an idea that Eastern Europe deserves an international conference for libraries. And we pitched that idea to Next Library, and they said, yeah, we're on board. We will support you with that. And they've done an amazing job for us. They opened their network for us, and we opened our networks for other libraries. So what you see here is just a fusion of networks and connections. It's a long way to be here today, because the first edition of the Occupy Library was an online event, and really it blew our mind. We had over 700 participants from over 20 countries. We've never thought that a small NGO from the center of Transylvania will ever be able to gather so much passion for libraries together, but there we were. So we decided to take the challenge this year one notch further, and we decided to do it in a hybrid format. So while you are here, some other tens, hundreds, I'm guessing, are online on the Hopin platform. And those of you who are here, we know that you had a long journey to be here, some longer than others. Because in this room, we have participants from Africa, we have participants from Europe, we have participants from Romania, and we have special guests from Moldova and Ukraine. And we are so grateful for you guys that you managed to make time and felt safe enough to come to Bucharest. Always when you start this, you always know that behind the conference, there's a mastermind. You know that, right? All of you who've done conferences, you know there's a mastermind behind a conference. And behind this conference, there's a mastermind, and her name is Ioana. I'm not sure Ioana is here. Probably she's upstairs with the online people. But Ioana has been the nice person behind the Occupy library at progressfoundation.net. Sorry, I don't know the email, but she was behind that email from which you all have received your invitation and your updates and everything. So Ioana, wherever you are, I know you're upstairs. Thank you so much. Also, we call Occupy Library, and today the conference has occupied a very particular library, as you can see. And I'm sure you will find more about this library from our next speaker, who is representing, obviously, the Goethe Institute, who is not only our partner and our host, but I hope, Susanne, you're our friend. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Mrs. Susanne Teichmann, who is representing for us today the Goethe Institute. Please, Susanne, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Camille. Bună ziua, hello and welcome to all of you who are joining Occupy Library 2022 with us here at the Goethe Institute in Bucharest and online anywhere in the world where you are. The Goethe Institute is Germany's cultural institute. Most of you might know. We are working in 94 countries and, of course, always online. And we believe that advocacy for libraries is advocacy for the people. It's advocacy for their right for education, for taking part in the community, and for finding places in their communities that are non-commercial, where they can meet, where they can come together, share their ideas, and learn. And we found out that we share this belief with Progress Foundation, and we teamed up in 2020 for Occupy Library #1, which turned out to be one of the first all-digital library conferences during the pandemic. And Camelia said it was a big success. So I'm very happy that this time I can greet you here in our premises and welcome you here. And I hope we will have a very good time during those 2 days. Please take the opportunity to see the artwork of Dan Perzowski, which you can see outside, who takes up the subject of sustainability in libraries. And please take the chance to visit our small green library, which is just above us, and enjoy the relaxed atmosphere that you will find there. Now, what's left is to thank the team of Progress Foundation. I always thought you were the mastermind behind it, Camelia. So to Camelia, to Aline, to Andrea, to Ioana, to all of you, thank you so much. It was so much pleasure to prepare this with you. And yes, I'm also very happy that we can touch, that we can be together, laugh together, maybe cry together also a little during these 2 days, not 4. And I hope you will enjoy to be here in Bucharest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, for your kind words, and thank you for all your support. Now we are here at the Goethe Pavilion, and we hope that you are watching us on hopin.com. You can reach out to us to the conference chat. So let's occupy libraries now. It's time to enjoy 2 days of content about empowerment, ecology, environment, and economics. It's such a great opportunity for you and for me and for us all to interact and network, to share good practices and with peers across libraries. So, as Camelia said, we prepared for this event a lot of sessions, more than 50 speakers from 25 countries, 1 keynote speaker and 6 fabulous speakers. So don't miss the news on sustainability in public libraries. Now you can see the agenda on the screen, or you can view it on hopin.com or on occupylibrary.net. Before introducing our first speaker, it's a fab speaker, and the first moment of the conference, allow me to extend our warmest greetings to all our speakers, to all our guests and participants, to you and here in the room, and to you on the Hopin virtually. Thank you very much. Now let's start with some messages from important institutions, institutional representatives who unfortunately cannot be with us today. Laszlo Borbély is a Romanian economist and politician, a member of the Romanian Chamber of Deputies for Mureș County since 2000, and a state councillor of the Department for Sustainable Development of Romanian Government. Now, Mr. Borbély will have the floor. The floor. Thank you, the technical.
First of all, thank you very much for your very kind invitation. I would like to congratulate Progress Foundation for this initiative. As I understood, will be more than 20 countries and more than 65 people attended this meeting, which is very important and basic for our future. It's not accidentally that there are a lot of movies regarding books, how in some periods of history, some dictators and dictatorships wanted to burn books and to destroy the culture and the education of nations. Love stories started from libraries where young people during my youngness met each other and read books together. It's very important to find ways how we can prepare this attitude, this habit of reading books, to have more culture and to inspire ourselves. More than 7,000 of libraries disappeared in Romania during these 32 years. It's amazing. I am the president of a cultural foundation in my hometown, Târgu Mureș, Marosvásárhely, Bernardi György, and more than 10,000 books we shared to different institutions during these 30 years. In this moment, we have to reanalyze our attitude to the young people. And I have also, of course, children, 4 grandchildren, and I have my own experience. Regarding SDGs, we have 17 SDGs. We supported to have a cartoon regarding 17 superheroes. We gave to all the schools from Romania, we translate in 17 different languages, in minorities languages, to have possibility for the young generation to know more about sustainable development. We have other initiatives to give them more information about gastronomy, about health, healthy education. It's important to have this linkage between local communities, between different structures, and to rebuild the structure of libraries. Maybe, of course, by digital way, but don't forget the feeling when you open a book, when you read a book, and I hope that for the future will be a new opportunity to use this mentality of sustainable development also in culture and education. I wish you all the best for this very important meeting. First of all, thank you.
Thank you. We understand that development are among the priorities of our government, and we move forward to the international stage. We want to welcome Dr. Barbara Leeson, the president-elect for the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, IFLA, and the director of Bremen Public Library since 1992. Barbara has actively involved in German and European library associations and IFLA for many years. She has served as president of the Federal Association Library and Information Germany, the umbrella organization of the German Library Associations. From 2016 to 2019, she was chair of the German Library Association. She has also held a number of senior positions in the European Bureau for Libraries, Archives and Documentation Associations, including vice president. Barbara is particularly committed to library policy and the development of libraries for the future. I give the floor to Barbara.
Dear colleagues, I'm sending you a message and some information about IFLA and how IFLA is supporting the Sustainable Development Goals and the development about sustainability. I'm happy that the Progress Foundation and also the Goethe Institute in Romania are organizing and supporting this conference. Thank you very much for this. Now I would like to share with you my screen and tell you about IFLA. My presentation is called IFLA for Libraries, Libraries for Sustainability. IFLA is the global voice of libraries, and I always say also IFLA is the global voice for libraries, because IFLA is the leading international body representing the interests of the library and information services and their users. This is very important that we always think about our users. Now some information about IFLA. You see the IFLA headquarters is based in Europe, in The Hague, but there are also language centers and regional offices spread around the world because IFLA is an international organization. That's me. I'm the president between 2021 and 2023. Every president has a theme for the presidency. My presidential theme is Libraries Building a Sustainable Future. And this is, of course, very close to the topic of your conference. Some basic information about IFLA, the core values that we have. IFLA wants to endorse the principle of freedom of access to information for everyone. This is a very important thing related to Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights of the United Nations. And IFLA believes that people, communities, and organizations need equitable and universal access to information. And therefore, the libraries should deliver this access, regardless whether there is different countries or regardless to race or religion, geographical location, language, or what else. The aims are of IFLA to promote high standards of provision and delivery of library and information services, to encourage the widespread understanding of the value of good library and information services, that's advocacy, and to represent the interests of our members, many members throughout the world. Advocating for libraries, I just said, advocacy. So you can see there are the 5 fields of the advocating for libraries stress. Powering sustainable development is the first one and one of them. And of course, copyright and access to knowledge is important, has been important for us as libraries for all centuries already. The inclusive rights-based information society is another issue where we advocate for. A supportive environment for libraries in society and politics, also advocating. And of course, not to forget, culture and heritage, safeguard and promote the topic of cultural heritage. IFLA Governing Board consists, as you see, of 11 people from all over the world, from South America, about Europe, until Asia. Here you can see another spreadsheet of the IFLA structure. And I would like to draw your attention to the Professional Council. That is the body which represents the many, many volunteers who do professional work in the professional working groups. Here you can see the professional structure. We have professional divisions, there are sections, there are special interest groups, and so on. And in these groups, more than 1,200 volunteers worldwide are working to improve the work of libraries. They are distributed to 54 professional units and sections. You don't need to read all of this, but there are all the different interests of the library world are represented here. Might it be biography or cataloging? Might it be library buildings and equipment or law libraries, library theory and research, reference and information services? There's 54 different topics where people are working on these topics and promoting the results of their work. This is the IFLA new website, and I recommend to you to have a look at the website, because there you find almost all the information you want. You can, of course, just look through the website, or you just search and find what you want. Another thing is the new newsletter. Subscribe to it. Every month you find a new edition with many information. And of course, the library map of the world with information about all countries which are contributing through the library associations, by the way. And you see Romania is also contributing to this. You can see some information about Romania in the library map of the world, but also, of course, about the libraries in other countries. IFLA has 3 pillars as a new approach towards the library and information profession: the global vision and the IFLA strategy. And we have new statutes. Almost a year ago, we found new statutes, and a General Assembly has endorsed the new statutes. I would like to draw your attention now to the IFLA strategy, which is the strategy between 2019 and 2024. The IFLA strategy has 4 strategic directions. Strategy number 1 is strengthen the global voice of libraries. Number 2, inspire and enhance professional practice. Number 3, connect and empower the field. And number 4 is optimize our organization. Let's have a look at some of the strategic directions and their key initiatives. IFLA wants to listen and understand the priorities of the whole library field and amplify the message through advocating for libraries and their values on a global and regional level. The key initiatives for this, you can see, first of all, show the power of libraries in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. That's already something, that's our topic. And of course, there are other 3 key initiatives in this strategic direction. Strategic direction number 2, inspire and enhance professional practice. IFLA wants to inspire the profession through future thinking and by encouraging new and promising approaches. Therefore, IFLA drives the development of libraries through standards, guidelines, and also through best practices. The key initiatives are produce, communicate, and distribute key resources and materials that inspire the profession. And this is something which I want to now show you more in detail. What does that mean when it comes to sustainability? So let's have a look at the work for sustainability of the libraries and also of the UN Sustainability Goals 2030. In 2015, the Sustainable Development Goals were published by the United Nations. And you can see already then IFLA took action. IFLA took all these 16 or 17 goals and they asked, what can libraries contribute to achieve these goals? And so IFLA started to help the libraries to understand, first of all, the Sustainable Development Goals, and also give them hints and ideas how to contribute to these different 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And you can see goal number 16. I want to show you goal number 16 because of a special reason. Goal number 16 reads, promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. And every goal of these 17 goals have sub-goals. And goal 16 has more than 10 sub-goals, but sub-goal number 10 is the goal for us, for the libraries, because ensure public access to information and protect fundamental freedoms in accordance with national and international agreements. You see, this is very important. This is very important. This is our goal. So when you are asked, which goal is the most important one for the libraries, then you say, well, that's the goal for the delivery of information, for the access of information. And this is goal 1610. Every goal has one or several indicators to be monitored. And goal 1610 has an indicator which is also very important for us, for the libraries, saying existence and implementation of a national law or constitutional guarantee on the right to information. Imagine this. This is the library's issue. IFLA did a lot since then to help the libraries to find ways of how to support the Sustainable Development Goals, how to promote them, and how to be engaged as a library with this. Go to our website, look for SDGs, and you will find a lot of material. For instance, you can also find a brochure with many good examples of best practice, access and opportunity for all, how libraries contribute to the United Nations 2030 agenda. Now let's have a closer look what our professional units do. Here I would like to focus for the last part of my presentation on the section for environment, sustainability, and libraries. This is one section, one of the 54 sections, environment, sustainability, and libraries section, and we have a shortcut which is called NSULIB. So when you are interested in libraries and sustainability, look on the website and everywhere where you want to look for NSULIB. That's a very active section, and they have a lot of they have an own website, of course, on our IFLA page, and you can find a lot of information. So first of all, the definition. What is a green library? A green and sustainable library is a library which takes into account environmental, economic, and social sustainability. Green and sustainable libraries may be of any size, but they should have a clear sustainability agenda. I think this is a very short and very smart definition of a green library. Of course, you can see what does that mean? Which parts of the libraries will be looked at when it comes to sustainability? Of course, it's the building and equipment, it's the principles of the offices, it's a sustainable economy, management, library services, environmental management, and of course, the commitment to general environmental goals and programs, as of course the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So what does this section, ENSULIP, remember, environmental and sustainability libraries, what do they promote to help you to be engaged in this topic? Of course, you see webinar series. And a webinar which was, well, this is on the 10th of May, it was just last week, IFLA ENSULIP webinar series, Climate Equity, a Manifesto for Libraries. You can also still watch this webinar when you are interested in this topic. In January already, ENSULIP had a webinar, The Power of Data to Advance the Sustainable Development Goals. So you can also see, in March, there was Publishing for Sustainable Development. So you see, this is a very active section, and the topic of sustainability and especially green library is there everywhere, and you can find it. And there is an ENSULIP newsletter as well. So go and do this and just say, we want to have this newsletter, and you can, since December 21, get a newsletter from the section Environmental and Sustainable Libraries. And publications. The first publication already was published in 2013. You see, this is almost 10 years ago. And already then the libraries were very much engaged in the topic, the challenge of environmental sustainability, a very important first publication, 2013. And in this publication, you have also, and this is still relevant even if 10 years old, the Green Library Checklist Project. You can find a checklist for your library to check, am I really a green library? And you see, it's also in Romanian when you go to the website. The next one was published in 2018, Going Green, Implementing Sustainable Strategies in Libraries Around the World, Buildings and Equipments, of course, Management, Programs, and Services. And then the last one is was just published right now, New Libraries in Old Buildings. That means also sustainability. We use old buildings and, well, we bring them up to make a wonderful library in old buildings which are not used anymore or where people have left, and you can really reuse these libraries. And this section also has an award for the green libraries, for the, let's say, greenest library, the IFLA Green Library Award, which is sponsored by the publisher, the Greuter, but it is handed over at every conference. And these are the objectives of the IFLA Green Library Award. You can see, go to the website and you can find the objectives, and perhaps you are just applying for this award, not now because it is already done, but for the next year when your library is a really wonderful green library, you can have a look and apply for this award. And you also see here that there is the reference to the key initiative 2.4, provide tools and infrastructure that support the work of libraries. So this was a short overview of how the professionals, the professional volunteers in IFLA are working on different topics specialized on sustainability. So let's be inspired, engaged, enabled, and connected. And also let's meet in Dublin at the end of July. Save the date and come to Dublin and learn about the sustainability in libraries. ENSULIP is there. The program is also there. And also ENSULIP has some very interesting program parts. Thank you very much for your attention. We are IFLA, and let's hopefully meet in Dublin. All the best for your conference, and bye-bye.
Do you come here?
Yes, I'm coming here because it's my place anyway. I'm coming here because I have a short announcement to make for those of you who are due to attend the celebratory dinner. So by raise of hands, how many of Okay. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. It's a very good restaurant. Okay, great. Right. So the announcement is that the celebratory dinner was due to happen tomorrow evening, as you know, and we canceled it. And we would like to put it this evening. So if you have very, very, very special programs tonight, can you cancel those and come to that celebratory dinner with us? Do I see nods? Do I see no? Yes. Okay. Just to raise the heat a bit, it's a fish restaurant from the Danube Delta. The fish is just being delivered now, so you see, it's been alive and in the water before. And also, we're hoping to have a wine tasting for those of you who are interested. Those of you who are not, tap water, I guess, or Danube Delta water. No, we won't give you that. So if that is set, and I'm sorry for the participants on Hopin, up to 50 now. You see, the room would have been not enough for how many people are interested in the Occupy Library conference, Susanne. So I would call this a success. So because of that, we're sorry for you participants on Hopin, but the fish cannot be sent via online. So we will just put a lot of pictures and then you see what you have missed. So that's the only change in the schedule that I would like to draw your attention to. And thank you for being flexible and on board with me on this important change. And I will now pass the floor to Andrea, so then she can pass the floor to me a little bit later. So thank you for your cooperation.
You can stay here with me, Camelia, because we saw the movies and both previous speakers have introduced us to concepts such as sustainability, climate change, and SDGs. So now our next speaker will go into more details and set the frame for a common understanding of the main topics, which will be discussed and debated in the next 2 days. She is a senior lecturer, CNSPA, and CEO of the Progress Foundation, Camelia Crișan. Dr. Camelia Crișan has an extensive experience in development, both organizational and at community level. Between 2009 and 2014, she has managed the training component of the BiblioNet program in Romania, overseeing the development of more 5,000 trainers, directors, head of departments, rural librarians, and community members. The BiblioNet program was worth $26.9 million US dollars. And it was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Camelia has conducted numerous research projects in the area of corporate social responsibility, philanthropy, sustainability, and climate change. She has delivered also trainings for corporations and public institutions in order to prepare them to sustainable practices. So Mrs. Camelia Crișan is a senior lecturer, and I will invite them, and the floor is yours for the next minutes. Thank you, Camelia.
Thank you, Andrea. She was talking about me, and I was trying to, have I really done that? Yes, most of the things she said I did. And go back, and back, and back, and then that's it. Okay, and I've got the clicker. It was a discussion about the clicker. Right, so that's the topic of my presentation, and I'm so glad that the previous speakers have touched upon what climate change is, what are the sustainable development goals, because in fact that they all have to do with climate change. And I know that climate change is, a topic of discussion, and it's something that we are fearing. So what is that? But apart from climate change, there are so many terms that we use in this discussion about sustainability, and most of you will use these terms or will hear these terms in the next couple of days. So what I'm proposing to do in the first part of my presentation is to discuss a little bit with you how we define the terms we use. What is sustainability? I'm not going to take you through the craziness of definitions because I don't have enough time for that. When I was doing my PhD thesis and I was looking at the definitions for corporate social responsibility, I had 30 pages. So I'm not going to take you through that, but I want us to have a common understanding, at least at this conference, of the major terms that we are going to use in the next couple of days. And then I'm going to give you some numbers that will scare you. And actually, that's my goal for today. I want you to get scared and see what are the margins of the disasters, of the disaster that is surrounding us. And then I will show you and I will name the main polluters. And I will provide to you with some choice conundrums so you will not know what to choose. It's going to be a very slicky thing that I'm doing, and I'm going to ask you to choose. And by the time when we're reaching, by the time when we are reaching the number 25, which I have no idea why I put there, so it doesn't mean anything, it's just 25 there. But I'm hoping that when we're reaching 25, you will all be depressed. So that's my goal. My goal is to scare you and to make you depressed. But then we're going to talk about chances to change. And the chances to change the environment, we can't change the environment, but what we can change, and it's in our power to change, is to change ourselves. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the psychology of how we change behaviors. What Andrea has not told you, and it's hidden, I'm not saying it to everyone, I'm just sharing it to you, is that I have a BA in psychology and a BA in communication science and a PhD in sociology. So you're in good hands when I'm telling you that if you can change it, you can change it. And then I'm going to talk to you about what we as an organization are doing in terms of sustainability, because I'm not here just for preaching. I'm here also to show you that it's possible and what we have done as an organization, because we are taking sustainability really, really serious. I don't think it's a matter that we can just trifle with. It's really serious, guys. And if by the time you're depressed, you would not have understood that, then I'm hoping that for the next 2 days, you'll understand the magnitude of the seriousness of the situation. And we will finish with In Flames, actually. We are going to finish In Flames because I'm going to give you 2 choices. One is just go green or go down. In my opinion, being sustainable, it's not something that has to happen only in Europe or in Africa or in Asia. This is one thing in which, as a humanity, we're all in it together. So it's either we understand that this has to be a common effort, or we are going to fail individually. As Al Pacino said in a very good coaching speech that I am following. So we'll either heal as a planet, or we will fail individually. I think these are the only choices that we have. And in support of what I'm saying, I'm going to quote a person which is very dear to me, Mr. Bill Gates, for which I had the pleasure to work, and who wrote a couple of months ago, actually in 2021, an amazing book about climate change. And some of the data that are there, I'm going to use in my presentation. Now, we're talking about sustainability, sustainable consumption, sustainable production, and so on and so forth. And it's 2022. But do you know what is the year when we first started to use the term sustainability? It was in 1987. It was produced by the Brundtland Commission of the United Nations. And they were defining sustainability back then as the capacity of this generation, well, this generation as well, to achieve to achieve a good life, let's say, without putting in danger the capacity of the future generation to have a good life. So if you're looking at what we were defining it then and what has happened now, it's definitely not about sustainable consumption and sustainable production, because we have looked at the growth and at our development in terms of producing more, consuming more. Everything was connected in how we measure our wealth with how much we consume. So that would be amazing. Wouldn't it be great to have all 10 cars and 15 yachts or whatever, how many hundreds of houses? But that is impossible because we're living on a planet with limited resources. And that's why we're talking about the natural capital. You cannot continue to take and take and take something that the nature has put underground for millions of years and nothing happened. So in all this discussion, what we are sometimes forgetting, I think, is that there are limits to growth, and the limits are represented by the very own planet that we have, and unfortunately, there is no other. This is the only place that we know where humans can live. So unless we take good care of it, there's no other place to go. Have I started you to be depressed? Great. Now, it's a little bit late, but companies and governments have decided to take the matter into their own hands. I think that people from IPCC, which is a group of experts who are looking at climate change, they scared them at some point. And also there's a pressure from the population. And then they say, okay, so how do we proceed about that? And what we are seeing now, only in terms of voluntary engagements, but I think that soon they should expect that all these voluntary engagements and regulation will be transformed into compulsory laws. We're seeing the terms ESG, and you will hear it a lot, maybe in these 2 days and furthermore when you will discuss about sustainability. ESG comes from environment, society, and governance. And these are the 3 principles that after Paris, companies are due to take into account when they're doing business. So they need to look at the environment and their carbon footprint. They need to look if their initiatives, they have social legitimacy when they're being put in practice. And they need to look at how their system of governance are working or not working for the public good. It's something that has to do with achieving the sustainable development goals that Barbara was mentioning earlier. In the literature, you would also find ESG under the 3P, people, planet, profit, or the TBL, triple bottom line. So what we know is that company, they need to produce, they need to have profit. Otherwise, they're not sustainable for their shareholders. But they should take into account the interests of other stakeholders. There is one stakeholder who cannot do a boycott on a product, who cannot come in front of a company and say what you're doing is not right, and that is the environment. What the environment is doing, that it's showing us when big tornadoes are coming or when the storms are heavier. And it's something that you cannot trifle with. Now, here are some fun facts for you. Fun facts. The fun facts are saying that 31% of food is thrown during processing. 56% of vegetables, which are suited for consumption, are not consumed because maybe the apple doesn't have the perfect shape, right? 30% of steel is weighted in the production process. And they say to us, big soda companies, oh, this is a recycled bottle. But what they don't share with us is that actually you cannot recycle 100% of the bottle. You can only recycle 30 to 40% of the bottle. The rest we throw away in the environment. Do you think these are the only fun numbers I have for you? No, I have more fun numbers for you. This is something that has to do with how we behave as humans. 92% of our time, the car is just sitting in the parking lot. 92% of the time. Why do we have so many cars? Well, I can ask the mayor of Bucharest. 60% of the office space is not used. So what are the numbers the fun numbers that I just gave you? What do they mean? It means that we are wasting a lot. This consumption cannot continue at the current rate. So what's the impact of all our consumption, of all our good lifestyle on the environment? Well, that number in red there, that is the key, as Bill Gates is saying. I like to say it as Bill Gates is saying, because it really is the key number. 51 billion. How many zeros are after 1 billion? 9 zeros, right? So 51 followed by 9 zeros, tons. So add another 30 if you want to calculate in kilograms, right? So 51 billion tons of green gas emissions are thrown every year in the atmosphere. Maybe you have not heard me right. I'm saying it again. 51 billion tons of green gas emissions are being thrown into the atmosphere every year. Now, if we want to survive on this planet, I told you there's no option B. I said that, right? Right. So there is no option B. But if we want to achieve sustainability, meaning that our kids can still live in this planet, we need to become carbon neutral. What does it mean? It means that we could throw into the atmosphere how many tons? 0. I'm just asking for you to think how much your carbon footprint has been since morning. And that will get you really depressed, because then you won't move anymore. So if we continue like that, we see that the situation is not good, right? It's really bad. So we need to change kind of completely the way in which we do things. And it's not possible. It's not possible to say, so from tomorrow morning, you have to do everything different. It cannot be done. So we need to think of gradual things, of doing it, of achieving carbon neutrality, meaning 0 tons of greenhouse emissions. Now, if we want to change something, we need to know what we are dealing with. We need to know who are the big polluters. And I was a little bit cheeky before. You're not the biggest polluters yourselves. Let's see who are the responsible parties. So, according to Mr. Gates, 31% of the greenhouse emissions are coming from the things we make. Meaning here, steel, cement, plastic, and other type of materials. 31%, it's a number that you can chew, but put 31% from 51 billion tons. Okay, that is the right number. It's not the percentage. The percentage is, 31, I can deal with 31. It's just 1/3. It's not a big deal. No, it's 31 from 51 billion. And that should be the number that we should wrap our minds around. 27% of the biggest pollution comes from electricity, the way we produce it and the way we consume it. 19% come from agriculture and livestock. And I recommend you the book of Bill Gates. Now you will tell me that I'm his promoter. Maybe I am. But I think that this should be a book as important as other fundamental books that we have. 19% from the greenhouse emissions are coming from agriculture and livestock. And it's a funny part in the book of Mr. Gates where he's explaining the philosophy of cows. I know. So what he's saying, and other memes on internet are saying, is that in terms of countries and nations, right? If polluters would be nations, okay, first in the world would be China. So China is the biggest polluter, but second place is the population of cows. So cows are the second largest producer after China. And Mr. Gates mentions in the book that he never thought that he will become such an expert in how much cows are burping and flatulating. I'm not sure if I can say this word, because cows are throwing into the atmosphere a much worse gas than carbon dioxide, which is the methane. So agriculture, 19%. 16% is transportation. We're talking here about planes, about how much we use to transport goods from one place to another, and so on. And 7% pollution comes from heating and the heating and cooling of air because of different geographies where everyone is living. And I'm sure you have heard about the heat wave that has hit Pakistan and India early this summer, where late spring, they've never seen anything like that, and that would affect the agriculture in these countries. Now, so we know who are the responsible parties, and we can't do anything to go to the big polluters yet. But let's see it in terms of cause, effects, and impact. So we know that if we continue doing what we have been doing at the exact rate, so nothing changes, the temperatures due to the increasing of CO2 will have increased from the pre-industrial era until now with 1%. So if we continue doing what we have done, by 2050, the temperatures will rise with up to 3 degrees Celsius, and by 2100, the temperature will rise with up to 8 degrees Celsius. So if you're going now out in Bucharest, there are 32 degrees outside. Imagine how that would be at 40. Imagine countries where there are 40 degrees outside, and then you'd have 50. It would be impossible to live. You won't be able to breathe in some parts of the world. What are the effects? Well, obviously, not everyone will suffer from the climate change the same. Finally, in my native Transylvania, we will have summers because we always had bad temperatures and rain. So suddenly, we will be able to grow grapes in Transylvania. We can make wine. So guys, I'm sorry, but climate change won't affect me the same way as it will affect other people. Obviously, this is a joke. Because I love grapes. So we will not suffer the same. In some parts, it will be worse. In some parts, it will be not that bad. We will all suffer, but not to the same extent. The storms will become more severe and stronger. And this will affect not only the fact that it's raining, but it will affect the infrastructure, the logistics chain, and the human settlements. It is said in the book of Mr. Gates that when the last hurricane has hit Puerto Rico, the economic damage was like taking them back from economic development with 10 years. So they were thrown back in economic development with 10 years, just by a severe storm, and they've not recovered yet. Also, we will experience more drought and forest fires. And those of you who are doing your vacations in Greece, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who are in California, you know what I'm talking about. So what you've seen, it will just increase. And also, we will see the sea level increase. Now, those of you who are living on the coasts of oceans and sea, prepare to move. What is the impact of all that? Well, the impact of all that is that, at least for the south of Europe, we will see the production of wheat becoming less with 50%. We're already being affected by the war of Russia in Ukraine. But imagine that the climate change will affect everything even stronger. Also, we will have, in some parts of the world, increasingly hard access to water. If humidity is increasing, you will see populations of mosquitoes appearing in places where we did not have them before. We're talking about malaria in India. How about that happening in continental Europe? And also health problem due to sun exposure. You know that when the humidity is up and the heat is up, it may be impossible to transpire, to perspirate, and then your body cannot cool off. And you can die from sun exposure. So everything is connected. It's an ecosystem, and it's not an ecosystem just for the sake of having a name. It's how things happen. Also, something that people are blaming in terms of Syria conflict, that people will migrate. We will see people. We are already talking about climate migrants. NATO has opened a funding stream in the beginning of this year, and one of the themes and topics they are funding are climate migrants. So people who will move from one part of the planet to another because they cannot stand the climate anymore. And also because of this, there is expected that the number of asylum seekers in Europe may increase with up to 28%, just because of the climate change issues. So this is as serious as it can be. And I remember seeing in a newspaper a discussion that President Biden had last year in June with some US troops which were stationed in the UK. And he made this speech, and he told the troops that when he was working with President Obama, the chief of staffs and the big military, they brought them into a discussion, and they asked them. So the president and the vice president asked the military, so what is the biggest threat to the security of the United States? And the military people said the climate change. So it's not a joke anymore. I don't think it ever was. I think we took it lightly. But if those people say it's a big threat, I think we should take them seriously, because they know what they're talking about. So are you depressed yet? Great. So one purpose achieved. Now, I don't want you to live depressed, because it's time for that in all our lives after the conference. But there are solutions, and I know that each and every one of us, because you're here at the conference, I am presumptions about it, but I think that every one of us has tried at some point to do something, right? And raise hands those of you who at least planted a tree because you thought that you are combating the climate change, or you sorted out your garbage, or you recycle, or so. It's amazing. So many raised hands. Great, you're doing a great job. Keep on doing it. But the true solutions are not always common sense. So I'm having now a conundrum for you, a question, which is, what is it better for the climate? To plant a tree, or to switch from cow meat in the burger to a veggie burger? So not eating burgers. So which one is better for the climate? Planting trees or not eating burgers? Ah, you got me. Yeah. If we stop eating burgers, we have a better impact on climate change than planting trees. Because, as Mr. Gates says in his book, and I'm quoting him again, planting a tree will help the environment if it's planted, for instance, in the Amazon green forest, rather than in the temperate climate. And it has less impact if it's planted upper north. So yes, it has an impact. I will not tell you it doesn't have an impact. It does have an impact. But if you're measuring it, let's say, it's better for us to stop eating burgers and also plant trees. So it's not an either or, it's and. Plant trees and stop eating burgers, because that is doubling the good effect that's having on the environment. So solutions are not always common sense. Why? Because all these parts are interconnected, and sometimes trying to do a good thing in some part is destroying the balance in a different part. So what are the other solutions which are common to us? One solution that came to my mind, because I'm looking at myself and I'm looking at my colleagues, and now I'm telling you bad things about them, is that we consume a lot. So one thing that it's, in our yard, it's possible, is to start changing our behaviors. But changing behaviors is damn hard, isn't it? Isn't it? If you want to start waking up 1 hour sooner, you can do it probably 1 or 2 days, and then you're saying, oh, no, I'd rather stay up late than wake up 1 hour soon. So it's very hard to change habits, especially habits that, they bring us what? Pleasure. What is it? A new pair of shoes, Imelda Marcos. I mean, I'm buying this nice dress, and then I need matching shoes, don't I? And then, women know what I'm talking about in this room, and maybe some men as well. And then you need a purse, isn't it? Yeah, because, shoes, they match purse. And then amazingly, there's no carpet in the living room to match everything. So you buy a new carpet and furniture. This is called the Diderot fallacy or the Diderot whatever. It's when we start buying and then we buy more and then we buy more. And so the same type of behavior reversed, you should take into account when you're trying to lose it. So to lose a habit. So to lose a habit, you have to try inversion techniques, we call it, or I'm not calling it. It's clear who is calling them like that, and clearly saying, okay, if you when you're creating a habit, you have 4 phases. First is cue, I'm seeing something. Then it's craving, I want it, my precious. And then you have the response, taking it, and then you have the reward. Glad I'm wearing it today, right? So it's cue, craving, response, and reward. These are the 4 phases in which we form habits, and then we build habits on those habits. If we want to break free from a habit, we need to use these inversion techniques that I'm going to talk to you about. So in terms of cue, if you want to buy a new pair of shoes, just pass by the stores, don't look in the mirror. So one thing that you can develop, a habit that you can develop, is reduce exposure to things that you want to buy. Reduce exposure. And they've shown an experiment where instead in a cafeteria, in a hospital cafeteria, they wanted to increase the buying of water rather than soda juices. And what they have done is they moved in the back the soda juices and they put buckets of bottled water in different parts of the cafeteria, and people were just grabbing them because they were seeing them, and they were too lazy to go in the back and take the other type of sodas. So reduce exposure. That's one thing that you can invert when we're talking about cues. The second is make it unattractive. It's so, what? New clothes? Oh, they're so last year. This year, the fashion is secondhand. So you have to be part of creating a culture where desired behavior is not normal. If the Duchess of Cambridge can wear the same dress 2 times, so can you, right? So creating a culture where what you're desiring, where desired behavior is becoming normal, the ones that you want to change, the ones that you want to acquire, sorry, not the one to change. In terms of response, make it difficult. I mean, increase the number of steps between you and the bad habits. What's my bad habit? I never, do X, Y, and Z. Well, it should be so hard to do that again and again. I don't have an example here because I'm not good at responses. And then in terms of reward, make it unsatisfying. And here you cannot do it alone. You need a partner. So you need an accountability partner. And also, when you are going into the bad habit, make the costs public and painful. It should, if you're saying something mean, that's what my colleagues are doing to me in the office, I need to pay. And then they do whatever they want with, I'm never saying something mean in the office. But if I would, that's what they would do. So do whatever you can to get an accountability partner and make costs for you repeating the bad habit painful and public. So I know it's easier to be said than done, but unless we start somewhere, it's going to be very bad in long term. So when we're talking about sustainability, I'm going to tell you a story, which is our story. And I think I'm nearing the end of my presentation with that. So bear with me. There's not longer until you're being set free from this depressed talk. So last year, I was enlightened by attending a course in Cambridge on sustainability and circular economy, but they were preaching to the choir, actually, because I've always been someone interested in sustainability and social responsibility and so on. And actually, one of my colleagues from the course, Sam Welch, will be a FAB speaker at the end of this day. And so I learned a lot from Sam. I hope you'll learn from him too. And so after doing that, I was just looking, I was looking in the office basically because they gave us so many exercises to do, and I urge you to do the same. So look in your office, look at the causes for waste. Look at the things that you can change in order to make your office more sustainable. And God is my witness, and Maria is here, my colleague. It's been so hard because we decided no more plastic cups. We decided no more paper towels. We decided many things. Buying glasses. And we broke some, but that's okay. Because in time when you're calculating the costs of glasses and plastic glasses, then it's a plus. And for us, who as an NGO, we need to be accountable and we need to be transparent and we need to take care of the resources. And it's been in the end, it's been a good decision. But not only about office, we decided to put sustainability at the core of every project we do. I know at the core or near the core of every project we do. So whenever we do a project, they say sustainability, but with this, okay, what type of things we can put in this project to increase the sustainability? And I have for you 4 examples. One is a project where we are empowering girls from the rural areas of Romania. And when we were discussing sustainability and what can happen, and the rural librarians, they told us, oh my God, we don't know what we can do. And we suggested fashion shows with second-hand blouses. And they're like, but they will not want to do it. I said, oh, make it a prize. Create this behavior. Create a behavior where using second-hand clothes, it's okay. Tell them that if they have a skirt, this is the dress, not a skirt. If they have a dress, they can cut it and they can make 2 things and then they can paint it. And that's a new thing and they should be proud about that. And that's happening right now. Another thing that we have done, we are working with a company who is dealing with energy, and we propose to them the repairing month, where people they wanted to get closer to the community and said, well, why not? Your apprentices, why don't they go into the community and instead of people buying new irons or new, I don't know, blow dryers or whatever, why don't they bring those broken things to the apprentices and they fix them, and then they're giving this back to the community or donating them. And this is they didn't think that it will be so successful as it's now going on. It's happening. Another thing that we have done as an organization, we wanted to show our funders that we are accountable. So we have created a methodology called social return on investment. And we are calculating what is the community impact, the social impact of each leu, of each euro, let's say, that they are investing through us in the community. And for instance, we know that our flagship program, Code Kids, for every leu, which is, let's say, we'll put it in euros, so it's easier for everyone. So let's say for each euro that they're investing in the program, the social impact of their investment is 8.4 euros. So that is something that our funders can go back and talk to the board and said, look, this is something that we're doing and it's helping communities. And last but not least, we decided that if we know things, we need to share these things. And as an organization, we started doing training courses on sustainability with journalists from the mainstream media in Romania in cooperation with the Ministry of Environment. And also for corporations, we were amazed that people in corporations were interested to know what is sustainability, and they reached out to us. And we as an organization, we're teaching them, and we're just starting them when they say, okay, so what sustainability action can we do? We just tell them, look under the sink. Look under the sink. Look how many plastic bottles you have under the sink. You want to start somewhere? Start small, because then you can increase the type of activities. But in order to have big behaviors, you need to start with small behaviors. And that's rewarding. And that has happened in our organization. Now we can't find the soap anywhere, but Now we find the soap. So this is where I part ways with you, but not without telling you that there are so many things that you can do as libraries. And I'm sure you will hear so many solutions and so many good ideas and so many lessons learned during these couple of days. And I feel so privileged that I just introduced you into the theme. But what you can do, you can embed sustainability practices in every project you do. Just ask yourself, does this have a small sustainability action in it? Are we reducing waste with this action? Are we making people aware how important climate change is? Anything. I mean, just start with anything. Just look, be creative. What you can add? What's the sustainability added value of your projects? Promote sustainability models. If you see someone who has done something, sharing is caring. Just share it with other people, because only in that way we will be able to create that culture which is embedding the models that are taking us to sustainability. Build stacks of green behaviors. If you've done that, add that. If you've done that, add that. So add another step to what you have already achieved. Have we managed to switch from plastic cups to glasses? Okay, what's next? So add on everything you've done. And also innovate, combat fake news. As Barbara was saying, this is part, in libraries, this is part of your job, right? So combat fake news, raise awareness, educate, persuade, because in the end, guys, if I'm allowed to tell you that, if I'm allowed to call you that, we will all pay. Changing from this model of economics that we have to a circular model, a more sustainable model, it will have a cost. We will pay it anyway. Be prepared, because every effort we make voluntarily will decrease the last balance of payment, but it will cost us nonetheless. Everything you see around us in terms of higher prices for gas, higher prices for oil, higher prices for everything, it's also part of us transferring from the current economy to the green economy. Innovations will need to be paid. So it's going to cost us. Be prepared for this cost. But the cost means that the kids of your kids will have this planet on which they can live. I want to leave you with these 3 calls for actions. Occupy libraries. It's a much nicer place to occupy than anything else. Act sustainable and be responsible. And thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Camelia. I have to say something. Also, I adopted sustainable behavior for today. I didn't buy a new dress, but
Great.
I borrowed from my sister.
Oh, okay, great. See,
So,
borrowing is caring.
so act sustainable. Now, these have been the plenary sessions. We will now open the sessions as follows. We have in person here at the Goethe Pavilion. The sessions that will take place are the first one. Maria Băran from Romania will talk about sustainability in rural Romania. Then Alexandra Zawalska-Havel, if is okay, from Poland, will talk about ESC, volunteer support the E+ library. And then Iuliana Camelia Pârvu from Romania will talk about Green Library for a Sustainable Community and Erasmus Plus, a story from Șirna. So enjoy the sessions. Only the first one will be shared on Hopin. Yeah, the talk about sustainability in rural Romania. And after that, during the other 2 sessions, we'll start online the Ignite talks and the presentations on hopin.com. Please check the program and hear inspiring talks, meet best innovators in the world, and join Occupy Library community. So here is the agenda. And after that, we will invite you to a sharing cafe time to have a snack, to have a drink, a coffee, or whatever you want. And you at home also can have a break and enjoy your drink. So I invite Maria Baran for her presentation. You have the floor. Good luck.
Thank you.